Hello.
Hello.
I like how bright it is on your end.
Yeah, it's
Sunny California
kind
sun.
of, yeah, a little backlit.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Um, so I guess, well, we were kind of chatting before we started recording because Kwonyin and I haven't connected for a week. And so we're like, oh, what happened to you? But
Hmm.
um,
Yeah.
we decided to come on because we found a topic we actually wanted to share and to just kind of organically have a conversation with on honesty. Like how,
Mm.
yeah, like, well, I guess I want to start off by wanting to ask you, like, to you personally, um, how much do you value honesty? Are you like more aware of it in your life where it's really in your conscious self, like your conscious awareness? Or is it something that you don't really think about? Or how valuable is it to you?
I would say it's pretty very valuable. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, and it's always something where initially you're like, oh, you know, whether it's coming from
um,
me or the other person, there's a moment of, oh, this kind of hurts to hear.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but always what comes from it is something good and relieving, and
yeah,
yeah, it changes reality
yeah,
when the truth is spoken.
yeah.
Hmm.
I agree.
So I really respect when um, someone tells me the truth of how they really feel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
even though like it may be painful for you to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
like you rather have that.
Yeah.
Me
But
too.
also I can also feel when something's not being said,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know
Mm-hmm.
like just like what we were just talking about before, about between us.
Mm-hmm.
We
Yeah.
haven't been connecting as much
Mm-hmm.
recently, and even though
Words were not
we haven't
spoken.
both directly addressed it till
Yeah.
today, we can still like feel like something is off.
Yeah. Yeah. Like something is slowly shifting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and I guess on my end, I was telling you, um, feeling it, but I was totally understanding the situation of this shift. And I didn't want to make it seem like, oh, this is something that you should worry about. And like, I was kind of missing what it used to be in the past because we did connect more in the past and kind of, yeah, like that shifting. Um, and then you also recognizing that too. Um, and I don't know, we just had this really peaceful, beautiful, like honest moment of um revealing our inner like truths about that situation of like, oh, it's not really how it used to be. We're not connecting as much as we used to. And we were used to that. Um, and then not. So how did you take it? I know we did discuss, but maybe people would like to
Yeah.
know on your end when that was happening.
Well, honestly, I felt relieved hearing you share your feelings with me.
Mm,
And that, you know, like I was also sad about it too. And then you saying that you were sad about it too.
mhm,
And, I could feel like something was different. I could feel like there was just this kind of like space and more distance.
mhm,
and and just to have you speak about it kind of, I feel like, gave me permission to also recognize that something, didn't feel
Yeah.
quite right with me either.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah, and actually you sharing your truth with me, even though it was like sadness about us, it
Hmm.
actually makes me feel closer now.
Hmm. I feel the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay, now we can kind of clear. I feel like there's just some ghosts in the air of
Mhm.
just some
And it
unsaid
was
things.
kind of accumulating without us really
Hmm.
like recognizing that it was accumulating.
Yeah.
Like something needs to be said, but we were both not really voicing that out.
Yeah.
And I wonder, were you also on that side of, oh, because you're understanding the situation, felt um, like it's okay, like just naturally
Yeah. I
push it
kind of
off?
just also wanted to give space for you
Hmm.
in
With what I'm
the
going
changes of your own
through.
life. Yeah. And
Yeah.
like, you just been going through so many changes too. And so I just wanted to, I thought, okay, I want to give her space too.
Hmm. I was doing the same thing
Not
with
like
you.
be up in your grill about like, oh, how come we're not
Yeah.
talking more?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Um,
And because of that understanding, we were subconsciously feeling like, oh, but it's not like the same and feeling a little bit sad about that. And yeah,
yeah.
is our friendship changing? Kind of questioning that personally
Yeah.
with ourselves individually.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Right. And I guess it also gave me the chance to reflect on, yeah, just like the gradual changes that have been happening, that where I'm like, oh, okay, so I guess there are some things in my life that I'm putting more focus
Looking towards,
on.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And, but that's how life will always be. We're always kind of like shifting and
Yeah. And I was,
creating, different
yeah,
things. Just take more focus as you're
yeah. And I
building.
love that you were. Because I could
Yeah.
see that you're getting excited for it, you're creating, you're trying new things, and you're just venturing out. And I
Mhm,
totally like support you in that and
mhm,
like totally happy for you, you
mhm,
doing that because
mhm,
to see you happy knowing like, oh my God, like I discovered this and I'm gonna try this and it feels really good to know that like to see you be excited and happy with your alignment. So there was this total support and I think I didn't allow myself to feel um like, oh, that means I'm not really connecting with Kwonyin as much anymore. And that, but then I felt like there wasn't like, well, actually, I think I was kind of subconsciously suppressing that because I totally understood. And it felt like there was no need to voice this part of me out to you. It was more like I felt like I needed to take care of this myself because I don't want it to be like you now feeling like, oh no, like is Sylvia feeling this way? And you becoming sensitive to this now and like feeling like, oh my God, am I taking too much of focusing here? I just wanted you to fully focus
mhm.
wherever direction you want to go, you know, and not have me get in the way in any way whatsoever, because I fully support you in that. So I
Yeah.
think I
But
just
even
felt
still,
like,
I just wanted to say, but even still, you are like an important, like one of,
yeah,
like one of the most important relationships in my life. And
yeah,
it's also okay and valid for you to tap me on the shoulder,
yes,
because if you're not feeling good about something, then it's also going to affect me.
yeah,
So I think this is the thing with truth, right? Like when we're
mhm,
accountable to
mhm,
each other and in these
yeah,
relationships of where we actually, want to have each other in each other's lives.
yeah. In the
Um,
beginning, I wasn't aware
yeah.
because I was subconsciously suppressing it. I had that thought, but it felt like my more dominant energy is, no, I support you. Like that's the more dominant energy that I was consciously aware of. And then this felt like, no, I got this. I'll take care of this. Like I don't want Kwonyin involved. I'll take care of this type of thing. But then, like I said, that truth just grows. If like,
Yeah.
and and eventually it spills out. Um, and then we spoke about it today, telling you about it today. I think, um, yeah, to become aware, it's like, it's okay if it's small, but then when it grows, don't
Yeah.
ignore it. If it grows, then know that, like, okay, it's time to share it.
Hmm.
Because in the beginning, I was aware of it, but it didn't feel like a problem.
Hmm.
It just feels like, oh, okay, I'm aware of it. Like it didn't seem like it would be a problem or something. But I think because it grew and I didn't really
Hmm.
like focus on that and allow myself to, it grew. And
Hmm.
then when it grew to the point where I feel like, oh, it's not in the back of my mind, it's just, yeah, oh, it's clearly coming up more in my conscious state,
Yeah.
which allowed me to express, yeah.
Yeah.
But it
And
felt good because
so,
you were feeling the same way.
yeah.
Yeah. And
Truth is such a gift,
yeah,
you know?
yeah, totally. And um your truth about also like it made me like feel good too. Like even though I know this is how you feel about me, but then like when just hearing it from you made me feel like, oh, see, like what I already know is just been validated by the person, you know?
Mm. Hmm. Hmm.
And so that felt good. Where um when you said like, oh yeah, I miss our connection too. It's not how it used to be. And I was also missing on that and thinking like, oh, Sylvia's also doing her thing and I want to give her time. Um, but I realized, oh, just like you said to me, I also want to say that to you too, of um, you can always like bombard and come into my life and like, hey Sylvia, like even though I'm doing my thing too, like
Hmm.
um more than it being like I want to give you time, actually would love it. I would love it if you did that. Like it would never feel like
Yeah.
oh, you're bothering me, you're calling me at the wrong time, whatever. Like, oh.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, to say this to you even right now, like makes me
Oh,
feel
thank
good.
you.
Yeah, yeah,
Because my big thing is fear of being a burden.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's like one of my core
yeah. And
fears.
sometimes I forget because I think that you already feel that way about me, that you wouldn't do that to me.
What do you
That
mean? What way
like
about you?
if you just want to connect with me, you'd be like, hey, hey, like anytime
Oh,
you want.
oh,
I didn't think you would be
yeah,
reserved.
yeah,
Yeah. So I think I also like thought like, no, Kwanya knows, like she's
yeah,
not going to do that to me, you know? But then I think I might have misunderstood that as like, oh, if you're not like if you were being more reserved and respecting me, and then
yeah,
I took it as, oh, like I guess she's busy and
yeah,
not really connecting or something. But although
uh,
I was busy too,
yeah.
um, but just on the back of my mind thinking, no, but she's busy. We're doing the same thing to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then somewhere I think, oh, but she's getting too busy for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit of
Yeah.
resentment,
Yeah.
bitterness.
Yeah. Like,
How
oh,
come
she's
she's so
arguing.
busy? God, she's like so busy all the time. No time for me anymore.
Yeah. You know what? I think it would have grown into that if I didn't, or you didn't, or I
Yeah.
didn't just kind of
Uh-huh.
bring it up.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, like for me, it could have been, yeah, like, oh, look, she's just busy with all of her clients all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
She doesn't want to do, well, actually, you know what? There was that too. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want to bring my, like, you have so much going on with emotional nurturing,
Yeah. Yeah.
like, with like your family
Yeah.
that are now there much more, and then your clients, and you do like, really incredible deep dives. And then if I'm also like, ring, ring,
Yeah.
oh, it's just like, you have enough on
Yeah.
your
Oh
plate, you know?
my gosh.
So to some degree now, even if there's like stuff, I'm like, oh no, I'll just take care of it. I don't want to burden anyone.
Yeah. Oh, it's that burden thing again.
The burden thing.
Yeah. But the crazy thing is, like, I so look forward to your phone calls that are like that
Aw.
too. Like, um,
Yeah.
hey, like,
Uh-huh.
what did that like
Yeah.
recently you call like, oh, I think
Because
there like could be a deep dive that I would want to spot. Like, yeah, call me. Make sure you're the like I'm the first one you call and like,
yeah.
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 But
And also an interesting thing is when you already have like an overlay of fear about something, you see the world as, like my core belief that I'm
mm-hmm,
consistently working through
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
of I'm a burden.
mm-hmm,
So it's interesting how if when I have that overlay, that filter over my consciousness,
mm-hmm,
and then say I talk to you and you're talking about what you've been up to,
mm-hmm,
and you know, this was even me as a child, okay? Like I'm talking to mom or whatever, and I'm like, oh, I have something I want to share. But
yeah.
then if I sense that the other person has a lot going on, or they're kind of
Mm-hmm,
stressed, or they're
mm-hmm.
just, there's a lot going on, then I feel like, okay, I don't want to put
Oh,
stuff on this already heavy
yeah,
plate.
yeah, yeah. I see. Okay, I'm seriously just going to be clear. I like, I don't feel that way. I just
Okay.
love it because somehow they're all connected, all connected.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, yeah, like you're one of the close people in my life too. And so when you bring it up to me, it's like, oh my God, I know there's going to be some kind of connection here that's going to help me out
Hmm.
too.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm glad we cleared this up. But
Oh,
on this
God.
note,
Yeah.
right? Like we both, I think, had this moment of relief, like, oh, yeah.
Oh,
Um, but on that note, and I think because we were organically talking about that before we decided to hit the record button, it just naturally came up of like, hey, why don't we talk about honesty, the value of honesty? So we hit record and now we're sharing with you what we discussed. And now we want to kind of talk about that today in your moons of like, I wonder if people are really aware of how honest they are about themselves. Like, are you consciously aware to what degree you are like aware of your own honesty? And if so, how much does the person value on their personal level? Like, how big of a deal is it to be honest? Yeah. And that just kind of, I guess, with
yeah.
us,
Also, I want to add in,
yeah.
and how, like, what's your relationship with honesty, and how scared are you of being really honest?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because it can
What?
be scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because it could create change that you may not want, like if you don't want to see that change,
Mhm.
but if you know you're going to be honest, it may change that and it
Yeah.
may be hard.
And if it's gonna, you know, you don't know how the other person's gonna take it, if they're gonna have
Yeah.
a reaction.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess
So,
all what we can do is just talk about how we feel about honesty and our perspective of
Yeah.
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 Like how, because I know we both agree that honesty is very important, like very important.
I think it's very important, and it's always scariest right it's the worst before you do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's the worst in the procrastination of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think
I
that's the
agree.
most where all the suffering is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So whatever you can do to just bring in the energy of Kali,
Yeah.
that fierce,
Yeah.
just like, I'm just gonna go there.
Yeah.
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 And accept the consequences, because being here sucks so bad
Mm-hmm.
that I'm
Yeah.
willing to jump into the unknown and
Yeah.
like free myself of this control.
Yeah. And like I feel like there's so much to talk about when it comes to honesty through so many different perspectives. Like, yeah, like honesty with the self, honesty with other people, job, um, to what degree, look, so I want to ask you, to what degree is honesty important? Is it even the very little things, to be honest about very little things too? About, of course, big things, but like to what degree? It makes me so curious. It's like, I wonder what the collective answer would be. Like, I wonder where it falls in the scale of like what people think with honesty. It makes me really curious. Um, yeah, because I feel like people can dismiss it really easily to not be honest
Mhm.
and not be aware that it could have a huge consequence in like later on down the road, perhaps maybe, where not being honest can build up.
And it comes back to, well, shame, I think, and fear,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
guilt. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, you know, um, honesty means you're really letting yourself be seen.
yeah, yeah. Ooh, ooh, I know this is kind of like,
Yeah.
I don't want to change from what we're talking about, but what just came up in my mind right now is I wonder if we were to ask people which would be easier. Is it easier to be honest or is it easier to lie? I wonder what the
Hmm.
collective answer would be.
That's an interesting, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
And I
And,
wanted to add to that, to some degree, we're all lying and we don't even know we're lying.
oh, what do you mean? What do you mean? Elaborate.
Because like all the conditioning to even like create a certain personality for yourself,
Yeah.
like even like say for example, oh, I'm a really helpful person.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what a good person is, and that's what
Hmm.
everyone likes me for,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, that you have identified with, whatever that trait is,
Yeah.
and you are lying to yourself and others when that's not really how you feel in the moment, but you keep having to present yourself like that's what you are.
Oh, yeah.
Even in the moment,
Yeah.
you don't want to give a shit about anyone else.
Yeah.
Like, I
Yeah.
want to just veg out and not
Yeah.
care.
Yeah.
But say someone calls, they need your
Yeah.
help,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, oh
I
no,
feel
but
like
I
you
need
have
to
to.
be.
Yeah.
And so, in a way, anytime we're operating from I have to
Yeah.
because this is what people expect of me,
Yeah.
that is, you're not being honest.
Yeah. Okay, so do you think honesty and authenticity go hand in hand?
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're pretty much the same thing, right?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, they are.
Yeah. So I think there's ways we can trick ourselves into thinking that this is I'm being honest or like
Hmm.
this is just me
Hmm.
being me, but it's not because there's an internal contradiction that's not being
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
That's the lie.
Yeah.
So in a way, you could say our whole collective, like we're so
Mm.
fragmented, every person is from trauma. And
Yes.
so we're all like walking contradictions. We're
Yep.
all lying to some degree. We're all performing.
Yes.
We're like
Yes.
performing our gender, we're performing our personality, we're performing our
Yep.
work persona, social persona, like everything. Yeah.
To go off on what you just said right now, um, with honesty. Oh God, I forgot now. Ah, I had it while you were talking. Um, Dang, sorry, I'll come back.
Okay, let it arise again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you have something else to say, you can. I'm just like, oh my God, it was a good one. Like there
Hmm.
was another question that I want to ask on top of that with what you
Oh,
just said.
um, I hate it when that happens.
I know. And I was like waiting, like, okay, I got it. And I was like focusing on what you
Keep
were
a
saying.
notepad.
But God, you
Keep a
know,
notepad.
oh yeah, that's a good idea. I don't have one now, but
Um,
wait, what were you just saying again?
so
Okay, so yeah,
how
we're always lying to some degree.
some degree, and you don't even
Uh,
know you're lying
yeah,
because you're so used to performing
yeah,
some version of yourself that was just the accepted version of you.
yeah. Okay. Do you want to kind of, this is not what I was thinking, but another thing is to go off of this is if you keep it up, it slowly grows
Hmm.
internally, right? Where it ends up where it can backfire. Oh, this is what I want to say. Um, it kind of slightly coming up. It's that feeling state of like honesty. Oh God, I had it. I got so excited. Okay. Honesty. Dang it. I just had it. Oh, like um people have a hard time like believing when that happens, even on a subconscious with what you just said, if people do it on a subconscious level like that, like it naturally grows with the subconscious belief that honesty is not on my side. Therefore, that is why I need to lie and present myself in the way that
Yeah.
you exemplified. And I don't want to be honest. And that can grow subconsciously.
Hmm.
Like honesty is not on my side. I'm
Yeah.
slowly starting to not really trust honesty to be there for me, to benefit me, to do good for me, and like all of that stuff.
Hmm.
And then that way of living can grow where um, to value honesty may not be such a big
Hmm.
like concern to like even choose to live that way
No, honesty, you'll
because it
see it
seems
as a
like
threat.
it's against you. Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
threat. Hmm.
yeah.
And there's no way that you can survive in this world actually being honest. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
too
Mm-hmm.
vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the part or someone who's never um like experienced repair with honesty,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And then the fragmentation of it, like just kind of separating from self, of like
Yeah.
not really utilizing honesty like it's on its side, but more like, oh, lying actually
Yeah.
works in my favor more.
Hmm.
Yeah. So then if it does, if so in the way that you exemplified it, like you just kind of do it innocently, not thinking much of it, like it's working for me, and you just kind of go in that, like live life like that, where that becomes the norm. Like a person can't really see that it's a bad thing because it's working out
Well,
in the moment.
in the moment,
Until,
yeah,
yes,
but I think it's
in
gonna
the
start.
long run. Yeah, yeah. Let's talk about that. So if you keep at it that way in the long run, you want to explain like what will happen?
Well, now I think it creates intense mistrust, right? Because now you know that you're capable of that.
Yeah, yeah,
And so now anything anyone else is saying or doing, there's you know that you can't take their word as it is either.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because
Yeah.
you're not
So it's
really
almost
doing it
like
for the self.
yeah, so there's no ground then in yourself when there's no real place to anchor your
Mm-hmm,
life. If
mm-hmm,
you know that
mm-hmm.
it, it's not based in reality with the truth,
Yeah, yeah,
then you're not in reality.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that's a scary place.
yeah. Or or you could say it too, like I agree with you, or you are in reality too, but in denial.
Mhm.
Yeah. But then if a person with what you just said, they continue to live like that, it's the same thing as separating from your own self too. Like you're not trusting yourself to feel safe to speak the truth and
Yeah,
really be there for you with your own truth. You're not
yeah.
really being there
That
for you.
is the biggest source of abandonment.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it
And I
is.
know this from personal experience of
Mm-hmm.
not being able to tell the truth
Mm-hmm. I've been there too.
relationship,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and
And I think a
just,
lot of people can relate.
yeah, you know,
Mm-hmm.
just being so scared to admit that I'm, angry, that I'm
Mm-hmm.
satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
And in that time, I had no concept that there could be repair for these feelings. And I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't ready to let go of the relationship completely.
Mm-hmm.
So I just stayed lying, you know,
Mm.
and I mean
Yeah.
lying as in like just concealing
Mm.
myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like I
Yeah.
would be
And
lying
just,
to myself.
yeah, lying to
Yeah.
myself that
Yeah.
it's okay how it is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, that's caused, so much loneliness and disconnection
Yeah, from the self.
in
And if
relationship. Yeah.
you're,
And for myself.
uh-huh. And if that is causing the self to like separate from the self more and more, it like is also connected to it's going to get harder and harder to trust yourself. Oh, you there? No, come back.
Oh, you're
Oh,
back.
there. Yay. Yeah. Like it is connected to having a hard time trusting yourself now.
Hmm.
Yeah. Because the self will be like, well, this is how you feel, but you're not saying that.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
been so long. Like you never reveal how you truly feel.
Yeah.
You always say something else out loud.
Uh-huh.
So it's like, how
Like
do you
what I'm
trust
saying
yourself?
is contradicting my internal
Yeah. Yeah.
reality, and that incongruence is the
Mm-hmm.
thing that eats you up inside.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's validating for the self consistently, like, I can't trust me. I can't trust
Yeah.
me. I can't trust me.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So how to get out of that cycle?
I feel like it's repairing your relationship with being honest, like being really aware and wanting genuinely, not because you feel like, oh, okay, now I know this, I don't want that to happen. So just being honest, but genuinely wanting to be like repair that relationship with your honesty. And in the beginning, it's gonna feel super hard maybe. Because it, like you said, I love what you said. I don't know if we were discussing this before the recording after, but you said something like, um, oh God, why am I forgetting? Just had it. You said something pretty profound that I really liked. What did you just say right now?
Oh my God. We'll have to rewind.
God. Um, trusting yourself with honesty.
Mhm.
And you asked me a question.
How do you repair or how do you stop the cycle of dishonesty?
Yeah. God, you said something that was the answer to your question, and I liked what you said. Um, okay, well, maybe it'll come up again later. But
Yeah.
how to repair your relationship with honesty, it's gonna feel perhaps hard in the beginning. Oh, and that's what you said. Like before you speak, oh yeah, it was recorded. Before you speak your truth, it's always the hardest before you do it. Like it's gonna feel scary. It's gonna feel like like I don't want to do it. That's gonna be the hardest part. Like the challenge is yourself. Like yourself is gonna be like, no, no, don't do it, don't do it. It's the resistance that's gonna talk to you about like, no, 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 that's wrong, don't do it. That's always the hardest. But then when you do it, it does feel relieving, even though the truth may not be like happy or a feel good state.
Hmm.
But there is genuine relief of speaking truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you will feel so much better. And this is
Yeah.
being kind to yourself.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And another big valuable thing about honesty is like, let's say like if you or if the person has a hard time feeling like and the want to be more honest, let's say, or to be honest all the time, if it's challenging, um, like I feel like it will help to try to repair that because um repairing your relationship to honesty will always have your back, is also your greatest, one of your greatest protectors in keeping you safe and not losing yourself, not losing yourself. Because the more and more you lie, it's like there is no strong foundation. Like,
Yeah.
even though, let's say you even do something wrong and it's better to speak of the truth, let's just say of what you did that you feel is wrong. Even that moment of honesty, like, even though you know you did wrong, you took this responsibility and you spoke up for that truth, you're not losing yourself in that moment. You still have your dignity to like know that you can, it feels good that like you still were honest, which means you have yourself and it still feels a strong foundation for even that repair to happen. That makes sense. But let's say, for instance, you do something wrong in your perspective and you don't become, well, and you don't speak truth and then you just keep lying and lying. Well, there's going to be this thing where
Or
like,
even concealing, concealing.
Yeah, even concealing yourself, it's gonna not have you feel like you are strong in yourself. It's gonna make you feel like eventually, if you keep this up, like you can't help but to feel like you're losing yourself, where the repair with yourself is gonna feel harder and harder and harder. Um, yeah. And when you feel like, and then when you keep going down that path, you're gonna feel harder to like to repair yourself, and the hope feels more lost and lost and lost with yourself. Like, um, yeah. So like,
But
yeah,
there's always an opportunity to come back. And
totally.
because if you, again, if you feel defeated about, I've been going along so long this way, I can't stop, that could be another hindrance. So
Mm-hmm.
I think, just know that you always have the opportunity, this present moment, it's an opportunity
Mm-hmm.
to um,
And no matter
come
how
back
deep,
to yourself,
yeah,
and recognize that it is a deep act of kindness to, first and foremost, being honest with
mhm.
where you are.
Thank you for catching that, because I could see now after you say that, I didn't mean it to sound like it's bad or wrong to take that path. So I'm glad you brought that up, because I could see how someone could misunderstand that. Yeah, it's like there's still repair the more like deeper you dig yourself into, like you can find a way out, but it does get more challenging. Um, but then with honesty, like when you're honest, you still feel like for the self, like, oh, see, like I did something. It just makes you feel responsible with yourself. Um, and to know that like that repair is more hopeful. I don't know if I feel like I'm butchering it, but like, um, honesty has a way where, it makes, I don't know, for me personally, it feels like there's no like icky stuff that's on me. It just feels clean, where if something does go wrong, then being honest will be on your side, where there's something else to cling on, I guess.
Mhm.
I don't know if I'm saying it right or explaining it well enough, but um, I guess basically what I'm saying is honesty can be fully on your side as your best protector. Yeah, that is really for the self, not against you. Yeah. I guess on that note, even mine um, is also there, thinking it's there for the self too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a form of protection.
Hmm. Yeah. Is there anything else you want to mention?
Um, Honestly, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess I want to ask, you want to just kind of like, I want to end it on like asking you a question. So with what you've become aware of honesty, um, like, do you want to share something that you became aware of that may be valuable for somebody else to hear?
Um, I guess inside the kind of shadow motivation to lie or to be conceal something, it's like we said, it's a form of protection from how the
Hmm.
other person may perceive you or see you.
Hmm.
But actually, the most important person the most important perspective you need to keep clear is how
Mm-hmm.
you see yourself.
Mm,
That's the
mm,
most important opinion that matters the most because you are with
right.
yourself, living with yourself 24/7 for your whole life. And so your
Yeah,
own opinion of yourself, just know that that always prevails over what someone else may think.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
um, yeah,
Beautifully said. Okay. Well, I guess this concludes with um honesty and what we want to talk about. I guess if there's more, we'll talk about it later.
right.
And well, good chatting with you.
Okay.
Hey, talk to you later. Bye.